A triple dose of great news for the New York Football Giants that we got to talk about on today's show as you're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Late last night, the New York Giants hired longtime offensive mind and friend of both and co-workers of both Harbaugh brothers, Greg Roman, to the offensive staff. This is something that we have talked about on this show before, and I think this is a great move for the Giants for a couple of different reasons. One being Matt Nagy is an offensive coordinator and as well as a head coach in Chicago, has never really been able to put a good rushing attack together. Whether that is because of the offensive line, whether that is because of the lack of talent at the running back position, or in my belief, the scheme, it has just never really worked out for Nagy before. You look at the numbers when you talk about rushing yards, explosive plays, yards per attempt, touchdowns. Matt Nagy offenses outside of the last year he was with Kansas City in 2017 when it was Andy Reid calling the plays. In Chicago, they were not a good rushing attack when it comes to yards per attempt. They were consistently near the bottom of the league. Then in Kansas City, when he returned in 2023 for a second stint there, the numbers weren't much better. 13th, 29th, and 20th. Again, is it a scheme thing? Is it a roster thing? I don't know. I think there's enough data to say the Matt Nagy offenses have just not been that good on the ground. Whereas the complete opposite is the truth for Greg Roman. Greg Roman is one of the smartest ground game coordinators in the National Football League. From 2011 to 2014 with the San Francisco 49ers, they were damn good. 19th in yards per attempt. Then 3rd, then 11th, then 4th. Then 2 years in Buffalo, number 1 in the NFL 2 times. Then he goes to Baltimore. 2 more times they were number 1, then 5th, and then 3rd. Think about it like this. From 2011 to 2022, Greg Roman's offenses were top 8 in rushing yards every single year. 9 times they were top 4. So they pick up a lot of yardage, and they're also explosive, like we just saw you. And it's not just because of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. The numbers before that indicate it's a scheme thing, and then when you add elite talent into that scheme, you can be the best in the business. While the numbers the last 2 years with Jim Harbaugh in LA with the Chargers haven't been great, 13th this year in yards per attempt, considering the left tackle got hurt against the New York Giants, or Joe Alt got hurt against the Giants, and prior to that, Rashawn Slater missed the entire season. That's still pretty good. Then 24th, they were beat up again, and the talent wasn't all there. I never wanted to see Greg Roman as the offensive coordinator for the Giants, but once you made it clear that Nagy was going to be the play caller, he was going to be the offensive coordinator, they needed some more juice in the run game. And hopefully Greg Roman, he could be that. I think it's going to be a good yin and yang. I don't really know how much involvement he's going to have. I would expect a lot. I don't think you make this move after you fired him, John Harbaugh, a couple of years ago, unless you really wanted him to be here. So I think that could be the case. There were some thoughts of, will he be the run coordinator, run game coordinator? What are they going to do there? Reports are coming out that Roman is expected to be a senior offensive analyst for the New York Giants. You always hear these positions of, offensive analyst, senior offensive analyst. Well, what exactly does that mean? Why didn't they just name him the run game coordinator? And maybe it's because they're leaving that spot open for our guy Jeff Stoutland, the former offensive line coach, longtime offensive line coach and run game coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Still think it's going to be tricky to get Stoutland to join the Giants staff, but maybe if it's the offensive line coach, the run game coordinator, whoever the Giants can dress it up, they can convince him and try to find a loophole in the process to steal him away from the Eagles if it is true that he is under contract and they are not budging on letting him go. Speaking of the Eagles and losing Jeff Stoutland, more losses are coming. I'm talking about in the future seasons as well as on the roster at very critical positions. We'll dive into that momentarily. Then we're going to talk about a couple more things, Big Blue. But first, with the big game just a couple of days away, the time to get hooked up with Prize Picks is now. Football season's coming to a close, so make the most of the big game and play Prize Picks. Easy, daily, fantasy sports. Pick more or pick less on 2 to 6 player stats. It is safe, it's secure, and billions have been paid out. And if you use that promo code CLNS and you play your first $5 lineup, they're going to get you $50 for lineups, and you don't even have to get that first $5 one correct. What I love about Prize Picks is they're always trying to hook up their users. And for the real ones, they have a big game max discount. They have put the stats of passing yards for Drake May at 0.5. He's going to throw for 1 passing yard. I can guarantee you. So throw that into your lineup. Select the more on that. Find one more player projection that you like. I'm going with Sam Darnold in the passing yards. The more on that, pair those both together, I have a chance to 3x my entry fee. You could do the same over at Prize Picks. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS after you download the app, create an account, use the promo code CLNS, and get $50 lineup. Let you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. We talked about how Jeff Stoutland is leaving the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, they could be losing a couple more players as well. Mike Garafolo kind of aggregating this here, saying an offseason of significant change for the Eagles could include their guard, Landon Dickerson, and his uncertain future. Jeff McClain mentions here, linking his podcast, which we will talk about momentarily, Dickerson's non-certainty to return. He said, I've heard some of the same. Only 27 and 5 years into his career, but his body has been through a lot. And then you lose Landon Dickerson, you could potentially be losing Lane Johnson as well. In that same podcast, Jeff McClain talked about, it's called The Uncovering the Birds, says, in terms of Lane and his future, here's what I can say. He's definitely not sure if he's coming back or not, is the impression I get. You would think maybe this would make it a little less likely. When you're looking at retirement, it's, can my body do it again? Do I want to do it again? Lane has a very high standard for himself. So there's rumors about potentially losing Landon Dickerson. There's potentially rumors about Lane Johnson retiring. You've already lost your offensive line coach. You're on another offensive coordinator. And it sounds like you could be losing A.J. Brown at the receiver spot as well. He has been a receiver that has been mentioned in trade rumors really for the past 16 months. Was not a great season for him in Philadelphia. Dropped big passes in the playoff games. It seems like every other week, even after wins, he was complaining about his role and how he was being used on that football team. And we also know it's extremely hard to win the NFC East. And nobody had done it 2 times in a row in the last 20 years. And there hasn't been a 3-peat NFC East champ since 2002 to 2004. And at the end of the day, it's still Dumbo running their organization when it comes to the head coach spot. The Trent Dilfer of coaching will be exposed sooner rather than later. He ran Stoutland out of town. He didn't realize how good of an offensive line coach he had. This guy is the biggest loser in the NFL. Yeah, he won a Super Bowl. So did Trent Dilfer. And no one talks about Trent Dilfer being a great quarterback, just like anyone with a brain realizes that this guy is going to burn the Philadelphia Eagles to the ground. Got a lot more to talk about, but if you hate the Eagles and you're ready to start beating up on them again, John Harbaugh said, they got to beat us too. And we'll see if that happens. Hit that thumbs up icon. Let's talk about Malik Nabers and his recovery from his knee injury. It was originally reported that he tore his ACL and there was some other damage in his knee. It has now been uncovered that there was more than that. Jordan Ahn, ESPN beat reporter, says Malik Nabers told me his rehab has been phenomenal. He did, in fact, have a full meniscus repair in addition to his ACL surgery in October. That explains the crutch plus brace he was wearing last month. Typically, full meniscus repairs do add time to the recovery. There was a lot of worry. We all saw that. I don't remember if it was on the last day of the season, the Monday fall, or I guess it would have been Black Monday when we saw Malik Nabers wearing that heavy brace around his knee and had that crutch, and everyone was talking about Pro Football Doc and everybody else saying he wasn't going to play in week 1. And that may still be the case, but at least we get some context and some reasoning as to why he was still limping and using that crutch. ACL and meniscus, it's pretty much full reconstruction of the knee, and we need Malik Nabers out there ASAP. I don't think they should rush him in week 1, and I know they shouldn't rush him. They can't rush him. But, man, I cannot wait for Malik Nabers and Jackson Dart to be on the football field this fall together. Like, we got barely any of it in that Chargers game. There were a couple of nice passes over the middle, and this offense needs Nabers to be special. I know he's going to bounce back from that injury. I know Jackson Dart can't wait to throw him some tutties. From the Super Bowl as well, shout to Ryan Dunleavy. It looks like he sat down with Cam Skattebo and Jackson Dart. So that Skattebo is leaving San Francisco before the Super Bowl game. A lot of players there for Radio Row. They are representing Bounty, the quicker picker-upper, says, I'll be at the Super Bowl when I play in it. And Jackson Dart agreed. And that's what I like. I like these players that are all about ball instead of just, I know there's some things about Dart wanting to be in the spotlight and Skattebo wanting to be in the spotlight, doing all this streaming stuff. And they could go to the Super Bowl and they could watch. But I like the mindset of, I'm not going to the Super Bowl until I play in it. That type of stuff fires me up. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram @MarshallGreen_.